Now please welcome to stage Ms. Cheryl Liew-Chng, who will be presenting Managing Your Demographic Risk. Cheryl Liew-Chng is the founder and CEO of LifeWorkz, a company that partners with organizations to create inspiring and engaging workplaces in Asia through the lens of gender and generations. With more than 19 years of experience working with local and multinational corporations based in Asia Pacific, Cheryl's background spans the education, healthcare, retail, and manufacturing industries. She has consulted many organizations in the areas of work-life, flexibility, multi-generation, and particularly in optimizing women talent and workforce, which has led her to work with more than 3,000 women across the Asia Pacific in realizing their potential and finding fulfillment in their work and life. Please welcome to the stage Ms. Cheryl Liew-Chng.
Thank you. Hello everyone, my name is Cheryl. Thank you for joining me after your lunch season. I promise you in the next 45 minutes, you will be with me because the lunch only kicks in the hour on the dot. How many of you work alongside male colleagues? Please stand up. Stand up. Those of you who work alongside male colleagues, please stand up. You work along, okay, the chicken has gotten to you a little earlier. How many of you work alongside male colleagues in your team? Please stand up. Thank you. How many of you work alongside female colleagues? Please stand up. Thank you. How many of you work within your team where you have more than one generation in your work team? Please stand up. More than one generation in your team. Please stand up. And the rest of you, you're not very sure. Well, my question to you today is how well are you managing the risk of gender diversity and generational diversity in your workplace? How many of you actually thought about it from that perspective when we look at the workforce, that we can actually see them in their complete person as a male, a female, and the different generations that they come from? I want to thank you for the chance to be sharing with you something that has been, I would say, from my whole career journey, something that I've been dealing with. Before I started the firm LifeWorkz, I spent a number of years working in the healthcare sector, looking after 2005 staff. And in healthcare, we know global world shortage in terms of healthcare providers. So my challenge was in attracting, retaining, and engaging all my talents. I have the very young ones just out of medical school, and I have the very experienced professional on the other side. I have men and women working alongside. 85% of my workforce were women. Those were challenges that we have, and every single time when we are in the boardroom, the issue would be, do we have enough talent to start a new clinic? Do we have the new talent to start a new service? And we have to look way, way in advance in terms of managing that risk and getting the right talent on board. So that's my story, and that's what gotten me started with regards to gender and generational issues. As mentioned by Pamela, we work across Asia and Pacific, and we have been blessed to be able to work with some of these clients across different areas of their needs. The stories I'm going to share with you today are my stories and their stories. And I'd like you to add on in your handouts your own stories of what you might take away from here. Are you ready to get started? Could you give the person next to you a pat in the event that they are sleeping? If they are not, then say, great job, let's get started. All right. Three key things we'll get on today. First is identify what are the risks. How do I know the risk? If you are seasoned HR practitioners, you would already be in some form looking after your risk issues. When you look at strategic HR, manpower planning, that's part of looking after the risk. And then what do we do with the opportunities? What are the opportunities and what are the first and next steps you can do? So it is not going to be a session where you just take notes and at the end of the day, this note sits on your shelf. I will be highlighting to you some of the first steps that you can pursue right from the word go, depending on your level of courage to take the first step forward. And at the end of the session, instead of just managing your risk, I'd like you to be able to leverage on the risk that you're seeing. How can you make the best of the opportunity? How many of you would agree that the world is getting a lot more complex? Yes, thank you. A lot more ambiguous. Nobody? Oh, okay, a few. Yeah. How many of you feel that needs to be something that's predictable and something that you can manage, and if you know what are the risks, you can do a better job? Right? Let's see. Some key people trends. These are not new. It's reported across Asia and Pacific on a daily basis. Things like the aging population, things like we have an increasing number of non-traditional nuclear family, multi-generations in the workplace. The speaker before lunch already highlighted Gen Ys are going to, and Zs add a very different dimension to our workforce. Our workplace is growing more and more diverse. And by that, I'm not just talking about cultures, geography. I'm talking about gender, generations, where they were educated, how many languages do they speak, who plays golf and who doesn't. The diversity that gets into your workplace now is a lot more than in the past. A workplace that is looking more for trust, a workplace that wants you to respect them as they are, and a workplace where they feel that there is a sense of ethics. So these are all coming together right in the face of a workforce that is aging in Asia. But the good news, and that's the opportunity, is that the workforce is getting older in age, but getting younger in terms of the ability in contributing to the workplace or contributing to work. Okay? The other trend that we are seeing, if you're looking at just, okay, forget about the baby boomers, let's just hire the younger individuals. Well, if you look at it, China is, if it continues at the rate that it's growing, it's going to be absorbing a lot of the workforce. Because of the one-child policy, the talent pool for them is just ain't enough. And we'll all be competing with it. So in the old world, fairly homogeneous group, if you look at the roots of the way our organizations were structured, it's really the assumption of men who goes to work and assumption of what men would like out of careers. So in the old world, fairly dominant workforce, but in the new world, there's a lot more diversity. The next thing you see that in Asia, and that's our span of work, we work across the Middle East all the way to Australia, and then China, Japan, and all the way down to Southeast Asia. We are seeing an increasing number of dual income families versus in the past it was a single income family. Another thing is availability of talent pool. In the past, not an issue, but in a world that's getting more flat and there's a lot more alternatives to just working, there is a shortage globally for talent pool. Many male workforce in the past, an increasing number of women getting into the workplace, an increasing number of women graduating actually at a higher educational level. So what does that mean? That means in your emerging, if it hasn't arrived for you, or it's already in your face, a global and a diverse workforce.